the whole thing. So in any event, so since passage of the Farm Bill in 2014, I started taking a little bit of a deep dive into all the opportunities. I'm a visionary. I'm a entrepreneur and upstream thinker. I like to find out what opportunities are available. When I see new opportunities coming down in any country, I like to learn as much as I can to see whether or not it's a good fit for us. So when I went down through down into the hemp industry, I got really intimate and went way deep, and to the point to where in 2016, I did go back here, 1988, did the work on that, and then 2016, you can get that screen up here, Ken. I worked on the first hempcrete wall. We invited Clara Mariziki from Australia to come out and teach us how to build a wall and understand what hempcrete was. And Peter is going to share that with you in his presentation, but I learned about the details of it being fire retardant, mold resistant, sequesters carbon, and it keeps it, inside of the house, similar to where our plank houses are. It keeps you warm in the winter, cool in the summer because it goes into the ground. Well, that's kind of how hempcrete is and performs as walls. So I thought that was really super cool, and but we couldn't grow hemp at that time. So this is 2016. Fast forward to 2018. Ken, I'm going to have you do this here. 2018 Farm Bill passed, and as we know, we got hit by COVID, and all the wildfires that took place here in our community. So here, go ahead. So in 2021, I started the Indigenous Habitat Institute, and I started consulting with a friend of mine that I wanted to start building with hempcrete at that time. So I got introduced to Peter Holmdahl in that process, and he is a world visionary in his own mind, in his own right. And Peter and I, in our group over in France, have been on the phone for the last year and a half, every week. Sometimes almost it's getting to be daily now, because we really want to make what they've done in France, which are the most advanced in hempcrete construction in the world. They are the global leaders in this space. There's 50,000 different things you can do with hemp. And I'm like, which one do we pick? So that was the importance of me going down and learning about hempcrete. And because I feel like it answers so many challenges that we're facing in our community. So the Indigenous Habitat, by the way, just got a grant from the Humboldt Area Foundation, and we're going to be studying the architecture and the history of the plank house, the people of the plank house. And I told them we're going to be building with hempcrete in the future, because I want to build the first plank house replica out of hempcrete. And so if you look at the old UIHS or the UIHS building down in, that's all done in cement. It looks like, your, building, right? So we're going to take elements of that and create an Airbnb experience so that people can stay in it, feel it, touch it, smell it, and experience that whole thing. And then we create a revenue stream out of that. So, I've gone to Paris 3 times this year, so we'll go into some of the details anyway. But anyway, I want to introduce Ken, and he's going to go into some of his background really quick, because I know we only have 30 minutes with you, and then we're going to go into with Peter directly.
Thanks, Lisa. So yeah, I'm kind of the regional futurist here. What does that mean? It means that I don't think about things in a quarter or a year. I think about generational. I think about where we came from a long time ago, how we got ourselves to where we are, where we're going to go from here. So a lot of this presentation that you'll see that we mapped out for you in this 30 minutes is about the past, the present, and the future. The past, we're kind of, the earth is on fire right now. We're building and we're adding more carbon to a problem that's already a big problem. So we can't continue that path. Lisa approached me with this project, and all of my futurist bells went off in my brain. I share a chair on the President's Council at College of the Redwoods with Joe on industry partnerships. And so I'm one of those people that's trying to think about the big pieces and how do we move this to all of our benefit. But in particular, Lisa being Native and tribal, That is the best way to introduce this to North America. I would rather do it that way than any place else because this is regenerative technology. It's a generational play. And so what you're going to see here, especially with Peter Holmdahl, who's calling in from Paris today to talk with us, you're going to see what we have is we've already hit a mark. This is not a proof of concept. These are going up high rises in Paris. They're carbon negative. They're actually taking carbon away. There's many advantages to it, but like Lisa was mentioned, the thing that really hit, we're in fire prone area here. This is a fire retardant material and it's a natural insulator. The European tests show 70% energy efficiency just because you put the wall in that's hempcrete. It's very comfortable. We asked the folks in Europe, how do you convince people to do this? As Lisa suggested with the Airbnb, just stay one night in one of these facilities. It breathes, it's more comfortable, but it really reduces the life of the energy costs for the people that occupy that space. The cost is actually going to be even less. The construction costs are about comparable right now with what we're doing here with normal conventional methods. But if you think about how long these projects last, hempcrete will last over 100 years in many cases. There's thousands of years of hempcrete and natural material mixed with lime, types of buildings that have been constructed. Some of them are still standing. So this is a different kind of an opportunity. It allows us to save a lot of money over the length of the life of that house or that structure. So a lot of the things that we'll show you here basically are it's the answer. It's a futurist. I cannot think of anything else other than hempcrete right now. So by the end of the conversation, you'll see that I don't think there's any way I can go backwards. There's only forwards for me. So this project is going to happen one way or the other. We've talked with people all over the world. We're going to share some of those conversations with you in the 30 minutes. But I really want to just pass it off to Lisa real quick. And just, Lisa, if you could, tell them about your visits to Paris and to France and these people that you met there.
Well, these are the who's who in this space. When I say that they're world leaders, these are the people that did it. And when I say hempcrete construction, there's a lot of hempcrete projects around. You're going to hear all over the place. People have built with hempcrete. What's different about what these guys did is they built the first hempcrete panel factory to scale the industry. So that's what we're proposing, is to help develop that, piece here. So the very top picture here, you're going to see this is Peter. You see him here. And then that's me and my son, Terrence, for some of you guys that know Terry. This is Peter. Gonna have to pronounce Daniel's last name. Daniel. What's his last name? Okay.
Deviler.
Okay, Deviler. He's the mastermind. I mean, this guy is. You guys got a brochure a little bit earlier. Tradical from the lime company. They're the largest lime producer in the world for hempcrete construction. This guy is the brain trust. He understands and knows the whole supply chain. He knows everything about this industry and has been a mentor to Peter for, throughout his time in this space. Down here, this gentleman here wearing the Cal Poly Humboldt hat. And he's over here too. And behind him is a multi-story, nine-story building that he was involved in that incorporated hempcrete in it is Laurent Molly. He is the leader in multi-story construction with hempcrete in the world. So and then down here is the guys from, these are some of the students and some of the leadership and the owner of the university that teaches people how to build with hempcrete. So if you want to get a plumber certification, you want to get electrical certification, you want to be certified in hempcrete construction, these are the guys that do it. So we really have got a packed lineup of people that are industry leaders globally that are eager to start getting, because this is a global movement. Hemp is starting to take off globally in not just in America is interested, but these guys are ready to come. So we just need to find out who's gonna, who has the best space, and background and I would say infrastructure to be able to receive and do something with it. And that's why we're here. Okay. Oh, there you go. There you go. Now we got a transfer of knowledge. So we're transferring that knowledge over to here is our project. And then we're going to let Peter go into the details.
Yeah, so here, this is Peter, and I'm going to have him share his screen. Let's stop this share. Peter will introduce himself and then do his presentation. Thanks, Peter.
All right, everything coming up all right? You seeing it?
We are, yep.
Okay, well, very nice to be here. My name is Peter Holmdahl. I'm a dual citizenship, Swedish and American, currently living in Paris, so slightly confusing. But for the last 10 years, I've been working with hemp, and for the past 5 years, full-time with Hempcrete, and have transferred the knowledge of the French to Sweden. So I've done this transfer knowledge once already, and for the past 1.5 years, almost 2 years, I've been working with Lisa and Ken and seeing how we can implement this into the United States. So very quick background, the reason I'm doing this, what gets me up every day is the building industry has a huge percentage of the impact on our natural environment. 40% of the CO2, 40% of the energy consumption, all the waste. The building industry is the big polluter, and where we can make a big difference. This is a graph showing that in Sweden, we've cut down a lot on energy, but actually our building materials is what emits more CO2. This is the red dot that you see. It emits more CO2 than the energy use over a 50-year period. So you can build energy efficiently, but you need to know what kind of materials you're building with. So what we're talking about today, we haven't really gotten to the point too much yet, is the hempcrete. We're talking about the inner part of the hemp plant, furthest up here on the left, what you call the hurd. And you mix it with lime and water, and you cast it around a wood structure. Now, the important thing here is the wood structure and the fact you guys have a modular housing unit already there. You guys already have the wood framing, the people to do it. So what we're proposing is just basically 2 ingredients, the hemp and the lime and the knowledge. And then we can build what I'll show you in the very end, the panels, and how you can apply this very quickly and start building healthy houses, long lasting for a long period of time. As I said, they'll last for 100 years. They're carbon negative. There's no plastics, there are no toxins in the walls. So you get a really healthy indoor environment. No rodents or termites will get into the walls, and they'll keep the heat in and the heat out in summer. So they work both in summer and winter conditions. I'm sure you know a bit about hemp, but it's an easy crop to grow. It's the second fastest growing crop in the world after bamboo, and it will grow, sorry, this is the metric system, but that's about 12 feet in 4 months, and it will store 4 times the amount of carbon compared to wood. So you really get a carbon storage into your buildings. All of a sudden your buildings are becoming a part of the solution rather than the problem. And this is really going into detail, but what we're after into the hemp hurd is on a micro level. It's the pores in the hurds that can absorb and release moisture. So you get these healthy walls that can absorb and release moisture that gives you a very healthy indoor climate and also avoids mold. And then you mix it with 2 different kinds of limes, mainly air lime, which is much closer to what the Romans used to use back in the day, and a certain amount of more modern lime, hydraulic lime, which is closer to Portland cement. But the main point here is that the air lime that you use is much closer to what you used to build buildings with. It's more elastic, and it also handles moisture the same way. So you get buildings that will last for a long time, that will be healthy for a long time. So what can you do with it? Just about anything. Office buildings, renovation, several story apartment buildings, single story houses, anything you want. It's an insulation material. This is a castle in Luxembourg that was renovated, had mold problems. They put it on the interior of stone walls, cut down their energy bills, came out very healthy. The biggest project in the world today is a project in northern France where they're renovating 23,000 houses. And they're putting 4 inches of hempcrete on the interior. These are UNESCO heritage houses, 1-layer brick. And they're doing this because in the long run, it's going to keep the energy bills down and it's going to be healthy and long lasting. But where the market has moved to are these prefab panels. And this is what we're going to get to. This is a picture of them. But you can build just about anything. This is a 6-story building in Paris, built in 2014 with a steel frame in this case. This is social housing. So you build a steel frame, put on a wood frame, and you fill it up. And this is where it gets interesting. It's a bio-based material that will manage 4 hours in a fire test. So the reason you say 4 hours is after 4 hours, they turn off the machines. They don't do the testing after that. It's enough. But a picture or pictures say more than 1,000 words. So this is actually a car workshop, a mechanics workshop in central France. 3 of the walls were built with conventional materials. So think rock wool, mineral wool, and a plaster. 1 wall was built with hempcrete. And as you can see in the pictures, the 3 walls that were built in a more modern fashion don't exist anymore. The wall that was built with hempcrete, it's pretty badly burned on one side, but if you look at it from the other side, it looks brand new. This is the interesting part. It's a completely fire retardant material. And with California and your wildfires, this is a way where we can start convincing insurance companies that this is the way forward. If you would need to tear it down, you can build it new again. And again, this carbon storage will cut through here. I'm going to show you a couple pictures of some builds that I've done in Sweden and also from around the world. So this is a house within a greenhouse that was built in 2020, just won an award in Sweden. We did some renovations. This is Australia. They use it a lot for the heat that they have down there. Energy positive buildings out of England. And as you can see here, this is a brewery in England, a very big building where they saved a lot of money on ventilation because they don't need to ventilate out all the humidity. Mark & Spencer is about the equivalent of Costco. So their largest department store outside of London is built with this material and prefab panels. And then we get to the French and Paris and what Lisa was mentioning earlier, Laurent Mouly, who we're working with, the architect, and some of the several story buildings that he's been building in Paris. So this is the building that Lisa was in front of with him. The latest was a 9-story. And what they're currently working on is a 15-story building. So really no restrictions. In 2024, the Olympics will be coming to Paris, and a part of the Olympic Village will be built with hempcrete as well. This is what we really want to talk to you about. Was in May of 2021, they started up a factory just outside of Paris called Walla. It produces large quantities of hempcrete panels. It's wood frame, and you mix the hemp and lime, and you create these panels where you can assemble the buildings in a matter of hours. So this is tested, it's proven, it's shown. And so you have these wood frames, you pull the electricity through. If you want any water, you do that too before you fill it up. And after a couple days, you'll have a panel that's relatively dry and ready to go off. We started doing the same. So these are pictures from Sweden and a house that we built with Sweden's most famous architect, who among other did the Swedish embassy in Washington, DC. So these are panels that we built on a factory floor in Sweden. We've started this way, and then we're going to build it to a next phase to be able to build quicker. But the panels were lying down, we filled them up, and then they were stood up drying. And we brought them out to a work site, or to where the house is. And a 2,000 square foot house was assembled in 10 hours. So that gives you an idea of the speed of the build. So just wood frame, hempcrete from the interior to the exterior, no toxins, nothing in the wall. Easy assembly, normal drill bits. And you get a long-lasting, healthy house. So that was what I want to share with you. I'm very happy to answer any questions at the end of this, but I know that Ken and Lisa have a little more to go through. So I thank you for your time now, and look forward to answering any of the questions you might have.
So again, this is not a proof of concept. This is done, and it's being done all over the world. I just want to point out the Australian project that Peter showed a picture of briefly. They were putting one of these structures up, really quickly, like it goes fast. And it was a really hot day in Western Australia, 104 degrees Fahrenheit outside. They were finished with the build, and it was 70 degrees Fahrenheit inside the building. No air conditioning, no airflow, just the nature of the material. So not only fireproof, but that. So the sustainable aspect of this is a futurist. This is a no regrets strategy. I do scenarios for a living. So it's like playing a game. What happens if, how could things go wrong? And I think we saw a lot go wrong with supply chains recently. And I don't think that's going to go away. So I think that that's a big part of what we're about to do. So we're proposing this EU approved building material that's already been ICC, which means they've said, okay, it's approved for international building. We can bring this to North America now. There's no one else that's really doing this. Lisa's been in exclusive conversations with Peter and these high-level people that run schools and industry. So we're so fortunate to have Lisa spend 3 different trips to France, building these relationships, and these phone calls, as we mentioned, every week with Peter have just moved us on to the point where we can't see anything else at this point. So the team, just briefly, I don't go into the detail too much, but Lisa really is going to head this through Indigenous Habitat Institute and these other organizations that will help manage that progress. But IHI is there for the technology transfer, to receive it, to introduce it into our community, hopefully Hoopa. That's really why we're here. The most enviable piece of real estate that we found is down the street here, the modular facility. And so we have a lot of thoughts, and unfortunately can't get them all to you in 30 minutes. We're probably over the budget already, Joe. Apologies. But we're really excited to bring these people in. We've got somebody that can operate the facility who's got experience here locally, Humboldt Wholesale. He ran operations there as a manager. But we also have Peter to the right there. He's the one that kind of helped us with the presentation. He's an architect in Connecticut. And a lot of his students are very interested in getting involved with whatever project we agree on with this. And there's a lot of other people as a list up there, but I'm not going to bore you with it. But I just want to tell you that I think the reason why Lisa invited me in is they've got me on, I think I'm on 7 board of directors here regionally. I'm the former chair of the Arcata Chamber of Commerce. I'm on the board of directors now, vice president of the Humboldt County Visitors Bureau that runs tourism in the county. I'm a business owner, but mostly I see the opportunity here. And then we had put together a proposal for you just in brief. And Peter, do you want to walk us through this real quick? And Lisa, if you want to add some words to it, talk about phase one and the proposal for Hoopa.
Well, in a phase one, it would be the machinery that you would see over here on the side, which is a spray machine, but it's plenty big enough to start building the first couple houses. So what we're proposing is a machine with hemp and lime, enough hemp and lime to build about 2,000 square feet of whatever buildings you would be interested in building. But not only that, we'd also come over, a couple of us from Europe in at least 2 different stages. So we could be there to first build and then to be there to assemble as well. But to start doing the knowledge transfer, to start doing what among other things is building a hempcrete school, teaching people how to build these panels and teach them how to renovate as well. So the first phase would be materials to get 1 or 2 houses up, as well as getting people there, and you could do groups of up to 20 people that we could teach at any given time. And then you can go in these different phases, but the final phase, you can either go directly from phase 1, 2, 3, or you can take it gradually. And the difference is the size of the machinery. But phase 3 would be basically a full-scale prefab factory. So you would be talking about being able to do at least a house a day in a prefab factory setting. And from what I've seen on pictures and heard, you guys have the facility, you have the knowledge of the wood and assembling the wood panels would be an easy lift. And what we're proposing then, basically 2 materials, hemp and lime, and the knowledge and the machinery of how to put it together.
Thank you, Peter. The other thing I want to also mention is that with we're working with Oregon State University. We're not looking at this blindly. They're enrolled, like they want to put a for students on helping us with different sections of the industry, because it's supply chain, it's figuring out, if we need to figure out, what would be the developing the market here. So Cal Poly could be involved in that, and those students can help us. So we're not alone in making this all come together, because it's a community lift. And you guys, the way I look at it is we're indigenous people here. We're not going anywhere, but this is stuff that's going on in our backyard. And we should stand up and say, this is a new direction. This is clean building, carbon negative. You guys have some resources here that we could actually analyze and see how this could roll out. We would get more people at the table to look at this. There's grants. You guys have an interest already in developing your people here to teach them how to build. So that kind of is already going on. So we can look at what other funding you already have and start kind of playing around with some of that, because you have a housing need here. I know is it 300, 500, something like that you guys need here, and it can be the answer to your own housing problem. You know what I mean? So then I look at it, and Yurok has like 1,500 houses that they need. We're just getting an assessment from Trinidad right now. I meet with my tribal council tomorrow, but we'll be able to start digging into that. But we need to, like I said, the first throwdown was the Humboldt Area Foundation, that cultural group. They, because what we want to do is we want to study the indigenous architecture and then bring it into modern housing. We know that when we have things that are more culturally relevant, it seems like a home and not a HUD house. It's falling apart and dilapidated, mold and all that other stuff that comes, right? So this is an opportunity for us to lead in it. So we're at the starting gate. This first one. So I look at Hoopa and I look at the backbone you guys already have here. And I look at you're the biggest tribe in our area. and have led in a lot of different areas, and we need leadership. And so it's just going to take a group of us to really come and pull this together. And I'd love to have a group of you to work with if you guys decide that, hey, this sounds, if you like the direction that we're going, that's the support that we need. We do need these funds because we're a nonprofit starting this whole piece on the front end. But we could build a couple of different demonstration houses out of that 2,000 square feet because it's a shipment of material. The equipment house get built over in Europe, and then they're going to ship the lime. You have to have a certified lime, certified herd. Those things have to be certified together as a couple. And then you have to have a certified builder. That's why we want we want to show and demonstrate a professional building standard. And that's why these universities are here. I spent 10 minutes with the president of Danco, and now we're on bi-weekly meetings with them. These guys see the future here. And we just need to get everybody else on board. And, like I said, if I could get all of the leadership in the county and, congressmen, senators, and everybody like shifting together, this is exactly what we have. But we're going to go one at a time and start educating people about what we're doing. And we'd love to have, a place to work from, a place to start doing courses and things like that. That's what we need. We don't have the room at Trinidad, and I would love to, but we just don't. We're just too small, and we don't have the infrastructure that you guys do here. So we would love to have your support in moving forward on any phase of this. Even doing an assessment and figuring out what this might look like.
Well, I think, Lisa, obviously it's kind of an introductory meeting.
Yep.
We agree. We're not going to make a decision today, but certainly, give us your proposal and take some time to look at it, have some internal discussions. Probably only got about 10 or 15 more minutes, but I would like to, I do have 2 questions I'd like to ask. So one is, how much space exactly are you looking for within the module?
Peter, it'd be for the school and for the small factory. And if we were to scale, it depends on where you want to scale to, right? If we were to jump from the phase 1 to phase 3, you want to kind of go through that square footage need there, Peter?
So the phase 1 is the 150,000, and that would be, we'd be doing it in the modular factory, and we'd be able to, with that, build 2,000 square feet of a housing with that material. And in that, we would come over as well and start educating people. What we talk about is training the trainers. So to train the trainers, we'd have to come back a couple more times, make sure that people are continuously building, learning the materials. But ideally, our whole goal is that people become completely self-sufficient on this. And yeah, you can go in the different phases, but the school would come along with these phases. My idea, or our suggestion, is you start out with the first one, the 150. You see what we're seeing with this, and hopefully want to grow from there with us.
The question was, how much square footage of the modular do we need is the question.
That was supposed to, about 20,000 for the full on, for the phase 3. 20,000 square feet for the phase 3.
And if we were to do just the first phases, the phase 1, phase 2, so we don't need that for phase 1 and 2.
For phase 1 and 2, you're talking about a couple, maybe 2,000 square feet.
Okay. So yeah, in developing this, we want to just pop out a couple of houses, do some pilot projects, get people a good feeling. That's why I'm saying do some Airbnbs, and now you got a revenue stream going, And I told Trinidad, I said, build 10, do Airbnb, and then that's going to finance the cost of all of everybody's, because the ADU market in Humboldt right now is explosive. 7 to 15,000 new students coming. They don't have enough space. So it's a wide open market, and I'm on that list of Humboldt houses, been in those meetings. They built the one with the, it's done with the, what do you call that? Shipping container house over there by Franz Bakery. That's one house. The other one is that foam house you guys got in your modular over there. There's one, a full build out in Arcata. Will be the third. Because there's just not enough, there's just not enough. And we just figure if we do them as a ADU and sell them like that, then people just buy the ADU and then we just go start cranking. So we want to develop that, but slowly, we'll work all these things out. That's the thought. Anyway, okay, that's first answer.
Okay, so another question is, as far as your hemp, where does that come from? Do you guys produce that elsewhere or?
So the plan is one, we've built a relationship with not only growers, but also the California Hemp Association. I'm working directly with Oregon State University. That's a huge focus of theirs, but Southern Oregon are groups, and there's already decortication facilities in both Southern California and here. It's part of our business model is to develop that piece as well. And for right now, it's going to be from Southern Oregon, Central California.
And then as far as I think you guys would probably have that in writing as far as your proposal goes, but as far as like the breakdown in what benefits the tribe gets versus what the folks overseas get versus what you get, we'll want to see that, what that is, because we've had a lot of proposals over the years for the modular center. Some of them are, there's just a lot of overhead, there's so many different people that have their hands caught, and it just seems like it's sometimes those opportunities don't seem feasible, where the tribe is just one of so many stakeholders. And we've also been asked to put the building up for collateral so that these people can get a big loan and do business here. So just making sure that everything like that is clear. You guys submit your.
Yeah, well, our goal, just because our goal is to put panel factories up all over Indian country and other locations, that even down in wherever it makes sense. If we end up doing something down in Arcata, even because we blow this one up and max out roughly every 1,000 acres is anywhere from, depending on how much square footage material you use, because if you put it in the floor and you put it in the ceilings, it's a whole other piece of square footage. So anywhere from 300 to 600 houses, I would say safely, depending on square footage again. And so our goal is to do joint ventures. We want to joint venture with the tribe here and help do the marketing and getting those houses sold, that all we're doing is cranking out these ADUs and hitting that market. And those are anywhere from 800 to 1,200 square feet, which is usually around standard house. The way I see it, we can actually do custom build as well. We can build buildings. I heard about the possibility of even the U.S. Forest Service needs building. It would be great for them to have a building built out of Hemp Creek. So.
Okay, and then I guess the only other question I had is what have you guys seen as far as the barriers to the U.S. marketplace, as far as other people not really doing it in the U.S.? Why is it?
2018, the Farm Bill just passed, and it's just getting going. I've met with NSPERS. They're going to throw in 200,000 acres. They want to start taking back some of the acreage that they've been leasing out. A lot of these tribes have leased out their lands for farms, and now they're going to start taking it back. They're going to take, when those leases come up, they're starting to incorporate and see the value of those opportunities. And so, and that's not too far away either, if we ever had to pull from that material. But that's, I don't know if I answered your question or not.
Yeah.
Yes, Peter.
So yeah, no, I would say whenever hemp creek starts coming into a market, it just grows and grows. The interest grows. People who live in the houses become proponents of it. It's a growing global industry. And the only problem in the US is it hasn't really been done. And what we're proposing has never been done in the US. We're proposing to industrialize it. A lot of it has been done tamping by hand so far in the US. So this is on a completely different scale of how quick you can build.
I think they've been, the industry, I mean, I think people have been looking for a way and a path. We have paths. This panel factory is innovative beyond, I mean, like the first one of, these people are way ahead of us. Their first panel factory just happened 2021. So it's about, I'd say the barrier that I'm hearing, I'm on a lot of these group chats and whatnot, and I see everybody, I'm like, that's why I know where we're at in the game, because I'm with some of the big dogs, with the hemp, US Hemp Association, all that stuff. We're in those conversations. They're trying to figure this out. They're trying to figure out how to, and that's why we've been on the phone for so long, and just, you know, this is an industry move. It's not just like a single business. This is not just, hey, let's do a panel factory inside of Coupa Modular. You got to think of everything, all the way from the time the guy puts a seed in the ground. And anybody know about the CBD industry? If you know about the CBD industry, it took a bath, just like cannabis industry is taken here. It just hit it was a bubble and it blew. And so the farmers are scared. But once we can attach real deals, real housing purchases, which I've been, you know, we're friends with a lot of the real estate people. We're talking, I was just at a real estate party the other night, and they're excited. I'm meeting with them next week. I'm telling them what we're, you know, proposing to do. They're the people who are going to pre-sell this stuff. If I said, find out who needs ADUs in Humboldt, who's eligible for one, because once they buy and we know that they're interested, now I can tell the farmer to put seed in the ground, because that's what was happening. Farmers were growing hemp and they had no market. The same thing, I was just in Kansas visiting a hemp processor. That processing facility has beautiful material. They don't have a market. And guess what? They have a huge housing need. I'm sitting there going, okay, you guys, you guys have the answer to your own problem. It's about, it's governments working in silos. It's about understanding the breakdowns in housing, just the way they're executing it here. I heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard that there's a house here that's empty. I don't know if this is true or not, but that people need to be able, we call it achievable housing. You got to have somebody whose income, who's hit, you know, I mean, there's not a lot of people that got a lot of money to afford it. So we got to find the way to get that solved as well. It's not just solving, you know, these little pieces. Panels, this technology works. I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about is, oh, the other mechanics. How is money coming down for housing? How are people becoming eligible to be able to get into that house? And so that's what we're looking at. And I'm gonna have some meetings with some of the people there, but we're looking at financial models. Who's gonna do loans to these kind of people, or how are they gonna buy, all these houses are gonna get there? So that's the kind of stuff that I see as the biggest barrier, Joe. It is solving some of that. So those are the discussions I think it's going to be important as well, you know, as we have these discussions and roundtables.
And that's my question. You guys have a question? So the demo model, if it was to start this, so we'll put up a couple houses here, and those will be the demo models, and we'll be able to move someone in or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And
And
then
then
if we did a little project of 5 or 10 houses or something.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I just want to add, Peter Van Gelderen is on the Zoom here too, from Connecticut. He's an architect. And we just received a grant from Humboldt Area Foundation to tell a story. So part of this, you know, we're building these materials that we're presenting to you today, but we're going to do films, little shorts, maybe YouTube here, maybe a media piece there. So we don't want to wait for people to come see it. We're going to show it to the world. And then I think that's I'm doing a lot of tourism here. And the new tourism is going to be people coming to look for eco solutions. And working with the president, Tom Jackson of Cal Poly Humboldt, their primary mission with all the new curriculum they're building is sustainability. So we're going to be promoting this while we're building it. It's not going to be waiting for that to happen. We're going to, because this is not a proof of concept. This has already been done. It's being done, like Peter had mentioned, all over Europe. We just need to translate it to our own market. And as Lisa mentioned, we're the first movers. You would be the first movers in North America on this. Whether or not you want to own that leadership role is up to you guys, but you'd be in a very enviable position to train skilled workers for many generations to build this, to meet the building needs that we're going to have in Humboldt. It's pretty extreme. Looking at some of the numbers, the students that are applying, they're like 30–50% up. So I'm seeing maybe a doubling of the campus within 7 or 10 years at least. Where are they going to live? You know.
Yeah, so I would suggest doing some Airbnbs with it, because you do create that revenue stream and people get the experience it. And we could do, like I said, I got wherever you guys get redwood, but I got the parks is willing to do some of it. I talked to the parks down at Sumeg, and I said, you guys have all those bungalow or whatever, those little cabins. I said, let's do some of these replicas of your plank house cabins. That's why I want to do models. And I'd love to include you guys in the research of the study and find out who your builders are here, so we could film them as well. Because this is a historical documentation of our plank house building. It's the people of the plank house. So that just is going to be done. But our first build is going to be with hempcrete. So we would love to have that whole storyline be a part of it. Because I told them, let's do a series of, so we're going to go after a grant together now that I got this first grant with them. And just go from there. But we can pull also the knowledge into more relevant ADU structures, and it could be artwork like you guys have here. And like I said, the UIHS did some of that stuff. We could make the walls look like redwood on the inside, that kind of thing, but it still is breathable and it keeps the integrity of the technology of it. So it's a work in progress. It really is, but I think we just need a way to be transparent and just work together and develop it out. But we're going to have other brains on it, so we're not doing this alone. I think that's the most important thing. That's where College of the Redwoods can come in, students, the Cal Poly, and then OSU, who's their venture capital people. They're the guys that help put together, I'd say, business plans and all the crunching the numbers because they look at everything, right? Those guys are working with us. They want to throw down projects, and we're going to feed information from grants to them so we can start putting some of this stuff together. So it's going to take all of it put together. So we're not, by ourselves coming in with a proposal and a prayer. So any other questions? Peter, do you want to answer that? Comparison of price per square foot?
Well, we did a comparison with Ken and Danco builders, and it came out very, very similar cost comparison wise. And I think even, in maybe the first couple builds will come in a little bit more expensive, but once you're up and running, this prefab model is a much faster way of building, and there's a lack of people to build houses as well. So you can use local materials, and you can build, as I said, we put up 2,000 square feet in 10 hours. So this is a fast way of building.
Yeah, the other benefits that we look at it too, and Leonard, right now, while we're going to have to pull stuff from France, and materials, especially the lime people, we're working with them to come in to possibly Nez first, because they had a big lime quarry up there, and bringing that technology to them, because they've been sitting on this lime quarry. They don't know what to do with it. And so we're like, look, you guys have a timber company. We're even talking about doing straw bale up there as well. because we have straw. Peter is sitting on so much technology because he comes from Sweden. All them, those Danish groups and all them guys are all forward thinking in green construction. They're really, so we have access to all of that. If you look at our, we have a whole list of advisors that are coming from sustainable. They're the leaders in sustainable construction. So we can pull all of they're advising us. So they'll, we'll tell them what we're struggling with, and they'll lead us to somebody who's an expert at that, so that we have access to all of that. It's just a matter of, I think, just figuring out how to get it over here and who are going to be the, who's going to give us the foundation to build on. It's really kind of where we're at. But it'll take a little bit of time, but our goal is to be competitive. Yes, that, but the customers that we're going to be, you got to remember that I'm surrounded by millionaire people around our community. The guy who is the general contractor heard about what we're doing. He's like, he goes, I'll head this whole thing up. We've got people wanting to jump in this game because they know that that this is cutting edge, and we're at the, we're at the front line right now. But you got to also look at the benefits that the people are going to live in it. They're not going to be exposed to mold. They're going to have utility bills that are literally, we put solar on top of this. We've got the top solar experts working with us too. You're going to literally almost have a house that doesn't have a utility bill. How much is that going to benefit that person? So we know that even at the cost, even at the time that we're in, we're facing these times. You're the leaders facing the times hitting us now. So we're all in this together, right? Got to work on it together and figure this out. Our people are without homes. We're overcrowded. We have 1,500. I'm on the Human Rights Commission at Humboldt for Humboldt County. 1,500 homeless. That's probably just the tip of the iceberg. I think that there's a lot more that we're not counting because of people are stuck in a house, or whatever, not being counted. So,
Just say one more thing, and I'm sorry for taking your little extra time today, but I just mentioned to Joe that I was asked in the Futurist to give a presentation at the Regional Economic Development Summit that just happened a couple of months ago. You could look it up under my name, but it was called 2 for 20. And I said, if we do the following things in the next 2 years, our region is going to be set. We don't have to depend on supply chains or any other outside needs. So I address all these things. The centerpiece is hempcrete. Everything else is built around this particular proposal we're bringing to you today. And I'll just say is when I was in Washington, D.C., a young futurist many years ago, I had the privilege of meeting Buckminster Fuller. It's kind of a hero of mine, older futurist. And he said once, and Lisa just gave me the quote here a little while ago, he said, you never leave a sinking ship unless you see another ship on the horizon. And I think right now we see the ship, and we've been talking to it for 2 years in Europe, and his name's Peter Holmdahl and the team there. We just need to bring the ship to North America. It's already done. We just need a facility and a joint venture to do it. My only wish is that this would be tribal. I want it to be indigenous first. I mean, we're talking with Danco. They're very interested. Chris Dart kindly wrote a letter of support for us for the effort, but we want this to be indigenous led. I think it's appropriate because it's a regenerative project, and thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
One other question.
Oh, perfect.
That would be good. Then we can follow up with you later on. And,
Okay.
that once we'll have that.
Okay, that'd be great. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, you guys. I really do.
Yeah.
One last thing, can you direct me on the process of if in approaching the tribe as being a part of the people of the Plank House Stone and working with your folks here? Would I love to do some filming here? It would be some video clips of people, maybe anybody that knows construction of plank houses, because I've got somebody from on the Europe side, but you're plank house people too.
Yeah.
And
Contact me. I can get you in touch with the folks that
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, and anybody that you know, because I talked to Marceline, she's got a little, her house is kind of like a little bit of that. And anybody else that you know that has more of a modern take on housing, incorporating that, I'd love to talk to them too. So, thank you again. Appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you, everyone from France.
Great.
Thanks from Connecticut.
How's, well, the next steps is then we're gonna submit a more formal proposal. It'll incorporate some of the stuff that you've seen in our presentation, so you can go back and refresh your memory about it. The secretary has my email, and our emails, so you guys are welcome to ask any questions after the fact here too. Okay.
Thank you, guys.